Welcome back to Kaprun in Austria, and my word, it's getting exciting here. It's hot in temperature, it's hot in the racing stakes as well. And just taken the lead, David Vasquez, the Volvo Cannondale rider. This is him in slow-mo. Controls the bike really well there, unlike Brian Lopes. Brian Lopes got into all sorts of trouble on that little jump there. But Vasquez, absolutely strong is the word for it. But this is his celebration. 2.04 in front of Scott Sharples, being congratulated by team mechanic. He moves into the hot seat. Scott Sharples was there for about an hour. Vasquez won't have to wait that long though, as we go back to his compatriot and indeed Spanish champion. He's wearing his Spanish champion's jersey, Oscar Saez Castane, Volvo Cannondale rider. This was him on tape at the top of the mountain. Conditions really couldn't be any better now. Oscar Saez has got to beat that time set by Vasquez. The split time, 2:06.48, slower than that. Vasquez didn't actually compete in the national championships. He had a slight ankle injury that he injured at an Italian Cup round. Spanish Cup round. Oscar Saez took that title along with Mercedes Gonzalez, the GT rider. And again, all of the riders taking the same line around that curve. Oscar Saez qualified in 10th spot this morning with a time of 5:08.07, and now has a time to beat of 4:47.03. Quite wide on that bend. Didn't look as fast as some of the riders there, did he? So it doesn't look like Scott Sharples was going to win his first race. Will David Vasquez, the man in your picture now, the diminutive, super quick Spanish rider, will he win his second Grundig Downhill World Cup race of the season? He won his first at Big Bear, and that was a very good win indeed, when most people actually didn't expect him to do that. Fast course there, like it is here today, and he's a small guy, but in great physical shape. Vasquez was 11th here in Kaprun last year behind Johnny Tomac. Oscar Saez wants to be a bit quicker at this section now, just over the tiny lip. Quite a crowd there. But he was slower on that lip than David Vasquez. The 10th fastest rider, the Volvo Cannondale Pro. He's been riding since 1993, 50th at the World Championships in that year. But he's not going to threaten his compatriots and teammates' time. 4:47.03. He's going past Scott Sharple's time as well, and indeed Benny's. He moves into 4th spot, 4:51.61. Former Alpine Stars pro won't be too happy with that. Technique though over the lip. Catch a sight of the helicopter here. Must be nice being up there in this sort of weather. As we go up to Pau Messer, second at Sierra Nevada last week in Spain. He would love to have won that race, I'm sure. But and has a mistake.
Number 13, from Spain.
After the start, that was on tape, as was this section of the course. Coming up to the midpoint check, and he's slower than Vasquez. Pau Messer 2.09.7. He's got a lot to make up. Over 3 seconds down on Vasquez. Pau Messer currently lying in 13th spot in the World Cup. His best ever results last week. A bit out of shape there on that corner, wasn't he? Physically so different to David Vasquez. I'm sure he's about a foot taller, about 10 inches, and he looks on the edge, doesn't he? He looks like he's on the limit. trying to get the time back that he lost on the top part of the course. And if he's going to do it, he would do it on this part because he's big, he's tall, he's powerful. Pau Misser, the younger brother of Tommy Misser, has always ridden in the same team. Used to ride for Volvo Kona. Now rides for Team Yeti. Father works in the team, mother as well. So hard for these guys. Good shot there off of the motorbike. He wants to be on that lip at about 4:15, and he's really scrubbing off speed there. Sliding the bike around everywhere, isn't he? Totally different technique to Vasquez. Vasquez a lot smoother. Pau using a lot of his brute strength, and he's looking quite quick at the moment. Clean over that section, wants to get lower on the bike. This is where he'll want to make up some time. He's been on the edge for most of his run. For that time set by David Vasquez, 4:47.03. He might be close to that, but I don't think he's going to beat it. He's not going to beat the time set by Vasquez. 4:51.08, 4 spots. Just a slow-mo of him. Quite out of shape here, wasn't he? Back end really dancing around on the edge. And at the moment, David Vasquez still in first spot. Scott Sharples in second. Jürgen Beneke in third. Pau Misser fourth. And Oscar Seis Castane in fifth spot. There's still some very, very good riders to come. One of these men, Jan Lundman, the giant rider, training partner of Johan Engström. I spoke to Jan earlier this morning after the semi-run. He was stoked for this. This was on tape. Coming up to the check. He's going to be slower than Vasquez. He's going to have to make up a lot of time on the bottom part of the course. Only 8th fastest at that point. Jan Lundman, a very near neighbour of Engström. Engström, the 4th place rider in the World Cup before today's race. The back end of his bike jumping around slightly. Not as much as Pau Misser. Crouched low on the bike. Not that tall, but very powerful. Takes a different line there, didn't he? Cut that corner well. Whoa! Almost did an El Cabrutzal on that corner. Took it very, very wide indeed as he comes into the far section now. That was, I don't know about lucky, but it was very near for Jan Lundman as we see David Vasquez at the bottom of the course. The Spaniard looking very, very, very concerned. He wants his second win. He said it helped him tremendously when he won at Big Bear, the fact that he actually trained with his teammate Mars Rockwell at Durango in Colorado, trained at altitude there, then went to Big Bear altitude and blitzed everyone up. Jan Lundman, I'll say it again, Jan Lundman really pushing it very, very hard indeed. Keeps a consistent speed through that corner. Pau missed a different technique. Oh, and just catches the tape marking there. That'll put him off his stride slightly, and the back end of the bike almost jumping out on that jump. Lundman is obviously going for it big time. And it looks like he's got a puncture. Oh no, that's so unlucky. I think his rear wheel might have just come off the rim there after that jump. Oh, that's unfortunate for Lundman. The GT rider qualified in 8th spot with a time of 5:07.72. He wanted to do well here, and he looked strong. My word. I think it actually happened just as he came over the... Could have been there, but it looks like some air in the tyre. I think it was just as he came off of the lip. I don't... Just trying to catch him, and it's just there. That's where he lands. That's where it comes off. There. Bang. No. That's where it happened, though. That's where it happened. The tyre went when he landed there. The air was coming out, it must have done. But no, not there. Was it there? Trying to predict where it was coming off. I don't know whether that's just as he came off over that lip, where that might have affected the tyre. Might have just disturbed the inner tube. But Lundman, disappointed. Vasquez quite happy. And Rob Warner, the giant rider, he knows how to win here. He did it in 1996. This was Rob on tape at the top of the mountain. Not known for his pedaling. Oh no! Rob Warner goes off course. He really hasn't had a great deal of luck this season. And that was him on tape. Won't threaten the time of Vasquez. The recently crowned British national champion. Won here in 1996 when the rain really did pour down. And Rob's very, very good in rain. Vasquez concerned, but I don't think he needs to be. That would have taken out of Rob's time. 4:47.03 for Rob Warner to beat. Warner didn't have a good ride here last year, so he needed a good one. And the big giant rider trying to crouch down as much as possible, but I'm sure his morale severely dented by that. The guy from Henley on Thames, 10 seconds or slower, a lot slower now. 10 seconds or so slower. Really is academic now for the giant rider. He used to ride for Saracen. Extremely good motorcycle trials rider. Vasquez knows that he's ever nearer his second Grundig Downhill World Cup win. Apart from his British national win, nothing much has gone a great deal Rob's way this season. The best result at 12th last week at Sierra Nevada. Just over 10 seconds behind Nicolas Boulios, but 5:10.52 for Rob. He'll be very, very disappointed. I'm sure a lot of the people in the crowd at the bottom of the course won't actually know what happened to Rob. They'll think it's a bad run. Vasquez sitting there waiting for all of the riders to come. Dave Cullinan, this was him on tape. Schwinn Toyota rider, leader of the Swatch Dual World Series. Third place yesterday in that competition. Coming up to the checkpoint. 2:06.48 to beat. Cully a lot slower than that. 3.27 seconds slower. He qualified this morning with 5:07.37. The man was coming back from 3 heart operations. Clean around that corner than a lot of riders. Actually, he's told me after his semi-run that he still finds it very difficult on courses like this where it requires a lot of aerobic ability. He's still working his way back up to full fitness. Takes that bend well, as you would expect from a dual rider. The time to beat, 4:47.03, with only this man and 5 others to come. Sharples in second at the moment, Benny in third, Powmisser in fourth. And it looks like he might have a problem with his bike. For Dave Cullinan, he had a problem last week. He qualified. I'm sure this is good technique from Cully, though. I think he might have a... No, it looks like the tyre's okay. But at the moment, could be a chain problem, I'm not sure. But Cully really doesn't like those fast sections. Likes it to be a little bit more gnarly. Hasn't finished in the top 5 here before. And I don't think he's going to threaten the time set by Vasquez. Cully really will have to motor now on this part of the course, but he's not going to threaten Vasquez's time. He wasn't too confident earlier today, and indeed goes past the time set by Vasquez and is really on the limit on that corner. Styles out, I'm sure. Cully loves the crowd. But very slow indeed for him. 4:57.94. He'd be very disappointed. Slow-mo there. Good technique. But true to the form that he himself predicted. But our leader still, David Vasquez, the Volvo Cannondale rider. Just 5 more guys to come. One of them, Jeremy Purdy, the giant teammate of Britain's Rob Warner. Some would say a bit of a surprise for him to be in 5th spot, and on that tape there, loses it, much like his teammate at the top of the course. Different position there for Purdy, but unfortunate for him. Just looking at that checkpoint now, you can see how much it took out of his time. 10 seconds slower there, but he still could make up a bit on the bottom part of this course. Vasquez knows it's tight. Purdy was 15th at never going round 2 in the wet. He's not going to threaten Vasquez's time here in Kaprun. Takes that corner well though. Onto the fastest section of the course. Course 4.2 kilometers long. Drops about 600 meters. Starts at an altitude of 1,400 meters. Drops to about 800. And this course was totally different last night. Covered in cloud, thunder and lightning. Conditions absolutely perfect now for these racers. But last year, Johnny can return to the winner's podium, much like he'd done the previous year in the finals in Hawaii. But it wasn't such a surprise really, because this course suits riders like Johnny T, an ex-cross-country rider. Fitness down to his boots. Purdy already made the mistake. The 6 foot, 190 pound American from Reno, Nevada. One Norba race in his career. Good technique here from Jeremy Purdy. Shame he made the mistake higher up on the course. Excellent riding. You'll see a lot of road races do that then when they're coming downhill. Very difficult for a downhill rider too. But on that slightly smoother section, able to get away with it. But Purdy comes across the line, 5:01.71. Jürgen Beneke sitting there, eager to see who's going to win this. He's lying in third spot at the moment. Vasquez in 1st. Scott Sharple's in 2nd at the moment. And this is the crash that put Purdy right off of his stride. Takes it far too low there. The back end jumps out. It looks like he was going to hold it, didn't he? Comes a cropper there. Loses, what, 10 seconds or so? I don't know whether Vasquez has actually got a television monitor where he can see. He has actually got a television monitor where he can see the rest of the riders coming down the mountain. One of these, Steve Peat, the 4th fastest rider in qualifying this morning. This was him on tape. 5th overall in the World Cup, winner of his 1st ever downhill World Cup round at Snoqualmie Pass in Washington, in America, and that really was a superb run from the big man from Sheffield. And Pete, his split point I'm hearing over my headphones was 2:07, 2nd best, and will Pete be able to put the hammer down on the bottom part of the course I really do hope so, because he is in a rich vein of form, much like Scott Sharples. I actually spoke to Steve yesterday after the duel, and he said that he doesn't train as much on the road as he should do, as he used to when he used to race cross country, but he still is a strong rider. Had a time of 5:04.79 this morning in the semis, just about 2.6 seconds slower than Basta Beva. Once again, this is where it's going to hurt these guys. The original Kaprun run actually used to have 3 uphill sections. Only got that slight one there, hardly even a uphill section, but very difficult nonetheless. It looked like Pete actually almost lost the back end on that corner, didn't it? Pete, the time to beat, 4:47.03. He is looking fast at the moment. His good friend Rob Warner didn't have a good run earlier. He qualified in 7th spot, but I don't think Steve is going to beat the time set by David Vasquez. He's going to have to be very, very fast from this time onwards. He's only got about 3 seconds. He won't beat Vasquez's time, but he's going to be fast nonetheless. Just under 4:50, I think, just over 4:51.11. 5th spot for Steve Peat. Actually came into this race last year with an outside chance of the World Cup, but crashed big time on his run. Had to have stitches in his left elbow, and that was disappointing for him. He dropped from 2nd in the World Cup back down to 8th. But doesn't upset the time of David Vasquez, the leader at the moment, 4:47.03. On course now, or was on course earlier. This was Cedric Gracier, the Team Sun rider, on tape. Again, the rear wheel jumping out there, just sliding out. That's what happened to Purdy. This is Gracier coming up to the checkpoint. He's looking fairly fast. 2:06.48 to beat, but he's not going to do that. In 2nd spot, though, at the midway check, Gracier, technically brilliant. That's good. Needs to do that. Watch the technique around this corner. Comes in quite tight, goes out wide and comes in tight again. Keeping himself very low on the bike. Another tall rider, Cedric Gracier. He won his first World Cup round this year. Teammate of Nicolas Boulios. It's questionable whether they will actually be teammates after the end of this season. As we see David Vasquez, he'd be very keen to see the time set by Cedric Gracier. Cedric, although he's in a very good position at the moment, he's very well tugged. He isn't actually pedaling. I don't know whether he's got a problem with his bike. He has indeed. I think he's got a problem with his chain. He has. Unlucky for Cedric Gracier. His chain has disappeared. I don't know whether it's wrapped itself around his chain ring. Unlucky for the winner of round 2, Nevergal. No wonder he was tucking himself in. Well, exasperation there for the Frenchman. The recently crowned French champion. That was a surprise to a lot of people, but not to Cedric. First time he'd won the senior championship. Won the junior world championships in '95. He was 2nd in '96, and he was 3rd at the senior worlds last year. But now riding the course with a chain wrapped around his front chain ring. There really has been a whole host of problems for some of these riders. Vasquez will be able to see there's something wrong with Cedric's bike. Now that really is superb technique. If you can do that and pedal at the same time, that's what these guys want to do. But his time is going to be fairly respectable. It's going to be excellent. 5:05.34. That really is superb for Cedric Gracier, given the fact that his chain was wrapped halfway around his chain ring. Disappointing for him. Nicholas Bullios, the Team Sun rider. Second fastest man in qualifying, just slightly behind Basta Beva, and the leader of the World Cup. That was him on tape. And he's looking fast, he's looking very fast indeed. Nicholas Bullios, best time by 2.24 seconds. Bullios, I've said it before today, but he's in a rich vein of form as well. Absolutely astonished everybody in Spain last week. He won by 5.48 seconds, and that really was a huge surprise to everyone, because Nicholas usually does, or used to, lose out on courses that required a hell of a lot of pedalling. Sierra Nevada certainly needed that. He takes the inside line there. That's a good line to take. Smooth round the corners. You'd expect that from the 6-time world champion. The man who has won the most downhill World Cup rounds of any man. He's won 5 rounds now. Jürgen Beneke and Francois Gachet won 4. Gachet winning all 4 of his World Cup rounds back in 1994 when he won the World Cup with a perfect score. That was when there was only 6 rounds in the World Cup. But the time for Nicholas Bullios to beat 4:47.03. He's got his World Championship band painted on his helmet. Like Vasquez, deceptively quick. Just had a, I think he caught his leg there on that pole, on that ski pole. But the time is good. The time is very good indeed. Nicely over that lip. Wants to hold it on the off camber, leans in slightly, just takes a slight jump there. Only 2 more men, this man and Basta Beva, to come, who can threaten David Vasquez, threaten the fact that he will take his 2nd World Cup win this season, his 2nd of his career. But Bullios is looking excellent at the moment. Very, very strong indeed. I am positive he will take the win here, or he will take 1st place for David Vasquez by a mile for Nick. 4:40.99, 6.03 seconds faster than Vasquez. My word, that was an astonishing run. I said it after last week's run at Sierra Nevada, and just look at the technique. Crosses up well there. So light on the bike. Well, exaltations for Nicholas Bullios. Vasquez pushed down into 2nd spot. Scott Sharples in 3rd. Jürgen Beneke in 4th. And this will be good for Nicholas Bullios, because Nicholas has come 2nd here 3 times in his career. 94, 95, 96. He was 3rd last year in 97. We go back up to Basta Beva. This was on tape. The B1 rider for the 2nd year in a row was the fastest man in the semis. And he's not going to beat the time set by Bullios at the midpoint check. 2.08.9. Basta Beva will be disappointed with that. Has won a solitary round of the Grundig World Cup back in South Africa in 1997, but he will have to motor big time. The big Dutchman, a former BMX world champion. He's got that time, that new time set by Nicholas Bullios. The penultimate rider down the mountain, 4:40.99. And Basta Beva taking the outside line on that section there, different to Bullios. This is where Bast needs to motor, has got to motor. He wants to keep it low if he can. It's got an absolutely astonishing time to beat, a 4:40.99 set by Nicholas Bullios. Vasquez is not, oh, and it looks like Basta Beva's got a rear wheel puncture. My word, this course has had its punctures and problems, hasn't it? Oh, unfortunate for Bast. No wonder he was slow at that checkpoint. I don't know whether it was affecting him there. Grasser got problems. Purdy, Warner, Basta Beva. My word, indicates to the cameraman. We know Bast. He really is having a very, very unlucky season. And I think the Dutchman is going to give up. Had a best position last week at Sierra of 10th. That equalled his 10th at Nevergal. Well, what can I say, but Nicolas Vullios is going to take his third win of the 1998 season. Bastabeva not going to threaten that time, just trying to keep the bike on course. Bit of an anti-climax here. Vullios knows he's won this race. The World Cup leader has pulled out some space between him and David Vasquez. Vasquez was just slightly 11 points behind Nicolas Vullios before today's race. He's going to be even further behind now. Bastabeva won't move up in the table. He's lying 14th at the moment. But his time not going to threaten Nicolas Vullios. So Vullios takes his third win of the season. 5:09.87 for Bastabeva. Nicolas Vullios is the winner here in Kaprun, Austria, in the penultimate round of the Grundig Downhill World Cup. Gets a hug there from his beautiful girlfriend, I've got to say it. Congratulations from the rest of the riders. Vullios, his third win this season, his 6th win in the Downhill World Cup. Superb riding from the Frenchman. He was bitterly disappointed about not winning the French Championships. Hey, hey, hey. None of that from you, Mr. Vullios. Just take a quick look at the standings. Vullios fastest, 4:40.99. Vasquez, 6:03 behind in second. Scott Sharples, his second third of the season. That's tremendous riding from him. Beneke, good result for him. Paul Misser in 5th. Steve Peat, 6th. He'll be quite happy with that. Oscar Saez Castane in 7th spot. But Nicolas Vullios, what can you say about the man? Astonishing. Quite used to winning here, isn't he? Talking to his girlfriend. Well, there's not really that much more I can say about Nicolas Vullios. The leader of the World Cup has extended his lead in the men's series. And Caroline Chausson uses... Goodbye from me, Mark Biesiegel.